Alright, well, I guess we're starting over because even if I pause, it stops the video. So give me 1 second to let the dog get his food. Okay, slow. Slow. Chew your food. So, pardon the dog's eating sounds as we go, but I had started the original video by saying that this is going to be a cleaning video. I'm not going to be speeding it up or editing. It's going to be a real-time clean with me, and I have a whole house to do. And I've been watching a channel called Midwest Magic Cleaning, and it kind of inspired me, started getting me up and moving because it serves as body doubling. So I decided, I've been wanting to do more videos. I decided I'm going to do my own videos of me cleaning my house to serve not only as my own body double by recording, but to provide something that could be a body doubling for others. So my house is not like a lot of the houses he does. It's cluttered, and it's, you know, but it's not filthy. I don't have mice problems. I don't have bug problems. The only bug problem I have, you can see a fly strip up there. Summertime, because the dog goes in and out the sliding glass door, we do get flies, and if I don't keep on top of it, they breed, and it just becomes really disgusting. So one of the things I will be doing is taking down the fly strips because fly season is almost over. It's fall now, so that will be one of my tasks. But for now, we're going to start with the basic cleaning of my kitchen, getting things cleared off, and at some point we'll be coming back to do a deep clean because my cupboards need to be wiped down, up there needs to be dusted, my fridge always needs to be cleaned out, my oven needs to be clean. I don't know if I'll get to my oven. You know, I have a back issue, so I have to be a little bit careful about how much bending and stooping that I do. But for now, we're going to do a basic cleanup where I can get everything ready to go, wipe down the countertops and the stove, and then we will move on to another area. So that's how this is going to go. And if I didn't already mention, the dog I mentioned is a St. Bernard, and so I had just gotten his breakfast, so yeah. All right, away we go. Okay, so I don't have a lot of dishes to do, and the dishwasher is partially full. So, no, actually. The bottom rack is full, the top rack is not. And most of the dishes I have up here are bottom rack. So, what I'm going to do is wrap up any little things that would go in the bottom, and hand wash anything that needs to be hand washed. And then I also have my coffee cup Keurig reusable containers. Dog needs to go out now. That need to be finished being scrubbed so I can use those. So that's what we're going to do first, and then we'll go from there. We need to get the hot water going. I have a couple dishes over here that need to be put away. These cupboards like to come open, so I actually just have a rubber band on the handle. This cupboard also does that, so I have a rubber band there as well. So we'll get the hot water going. My big travel coffee mug needs to be cleaned as well, so we're going to hand wash that. And Doggo is barking. 1 second. Hey, no bark. Are you done? Go potty or come in? Sir. Go potty or come in? He's a pretty good boy, but he does like to bark. So I have this little cleaner that I use for the straws. My bottle is really dirty and it's grossing me out. So I'm just going to run some water through. I put some soap on the brush. Ugh. That's enough. In the house. Right now. Let's go. No more. You're done. Go. Thank you, sir. I'm just going to run this through the straw both directions. Rinse the center of the straw. Do it again, just to make sure I get everything off. Because I usually drink coffee through this. So I want to make sure that I get all the coffee out. This needs to soak. Honestly, the lid hardly ever gets anything on it, so I'm just going to rinse that and let it dry. I think sometimes people overthink things and overdo things. Because as a society, we've gotten so trained that germs are the devil. And I don't believe that. I believe that a little bit of bacteria here and there, a little bit of, everything can't be sterile all the time. And I have a great immune system. I hardly ever get sick. I don't get sick from food. Even at work, when all of my coworkers have been sick around me, I don't get sick. So, I don't over sterilize anything. This bucket I've been using because my freezer I have a little bit of a seal issue here, and so it keeps getting over icy, and I keep having to scrape out the ice and then use a heat gun to melt the ice that's right where the tracks are that keeps building up and keeping the door from closing even more. And currently, there's a tiny gap in the seal, like I said. So right now, I am using, because I got a lot going on, I'm using a little bit of masking tape to try to fill the gap in that corner and reduce the amount of air getting in there to try to help reduce the amount of ice. I put a little bit on the other day, and it doesn't look like it's helping much, but I haven't re-scraped the ice since I did that. So I'm going to re-scrape the ice, see if the buildup is the same, and then I'll know if I'm still getting too much oxygen in there and need to put more tape in. So for my coffee things, I just got a pack of little dollar baby toothbrushes from, I think, Dollar General, and I have one for gross things, I have a yellow one for gross things, and my orange one is for food things. So things that I don't want disgustingness on. I use the orange one. So usually I just I've already soaked these and scrubbed them once with soap. Dawn dish soap is the only dish soap I use. I don't like the smell or the textures of others, and it has always just done the best job. So I've already scrubbed them once with soap, and then they soaked again, but then they've sat in the sink and dried out for the better part of a week. So I'm going back over again. Sometimes I just do Dawn dish soap in hot water and rinses and scrubs. And sometimes I let it soak in hot water and white vinegar. Sometimes I boil them. At least once a year, twice a year, I try to boil them. Just to make sure that I've kind of really loosened up anything that is still not coming off. And give them a good sanitization. It doesn't hurt them. The other thing I wanted to note was I use the Dawn because I find that there's an oily residue from the coffee, and so the Dawn gets the oily residue off. I don't know that vinegar deals with oily residue, but I typically do both, or if I'm just trying to, what's that word? Conserve my energy because I know I only have so much, then I will just do hot water and soap, and away we go. And I usually run them through twice with coffee before I clean them. So basically I use them, I let them dry out, I knock out the coffee, and I use it again. If I can see that there's not a lot of buildup, I'll use it more than twice before I scrub, because again, I have to consistently conserve my energy to keep up with things. So, I also usually keep 3 towels here, because after you've been in the kitchen for a minute, your towel gets really, really wet. So I will, I use it for that reason. I also, sometimes the first towel doesn't get it dry enough, but now it's damp. And then I can move on to the second towel to get it more dry. And then if I still need more drying, I use the third towel. It might add a little bit to the laundry, but it works really, really well for me and my needs. So let's see, Dawn refill. Let me refill this thing real quick because it needs to be done. But I'm going to clean off this bottle because it's kind of grody looking. Let me just give it a quick wipe down and see if I can get it looking a little bit better. See, there's gook in here, so I'm going to scrub that with the yellow brush to get this gook out of here. I know it doesn't matter, but it might be on the inside. I think it's on the inside. Well, we're going to take the lid off anyway. It is on the inside. So it just looks like kind of mildewy buildup. This would definitely be considered a deep clean, but it took me 2 seconds. I'm already done. I'm going to add a little bit more water to my container before I add more soap. I always thin out my soaps. Woo, hot. Woo. Just because it's easier to squeeze out, it lasts longer. I'm a bit of a cheapskate, so I definitely like to make things last as long as possible. So I'm just going to squeeze this new bottle into the old bottle. I like the way that the old bottle stands upside down on its head. So that's the one I want to keep using. This big bottle I'm using as a refill. These tend to be a little bit kind of obnoxious because they're so big. So it's kind of a bigger, it's just one of those small things that can add to fatigue throughout your day. It's kind of big and heavy and awkward. So I like this medium-sized bottle. It's kind of the perfect size for just grabbing and squeezing onto my sponge. And it works out really well. Also, the reason I had to restart the video that I kind of mentioned at the beginning was that my husband called and he is on his way home. So, in between, I am going to be trying to pause the videos and restart when there's interruptions. But if that doesn't work out, then I'll just end up posting multiple videos. And so there may be kind of abrupt ends where I'm just like, oh, husband's home. Gotta go. See you next time. So just kind of giving you a forewarning to that. Alright. So, this can go into the sink now. Oh, things are falling out. I just cleared out this cupboard under the sink, and it's already recluttered. It's just too many things that I need to use up, and be rid of. We just overbuy things, and my husband has a bad habit of, if he thinks he needs something, he just buys it without finding out if we already have it. And so we end up with multiples of things that we don't need multiples of. Alright, I'm going to quickly wash these hand wash things. And then move on to finishing the kind of deep butter so that I can, wipe and disinfect the counters. And then we'll be good to go. So yeah, he should be home any minute. Just as a fair warning. Alright, not to waste water, but I also try to balance with like just what my needs are in the moment and trying not to cause myself like what's that? Oh, words are so hard. That's actually part of autistic burnout, is not being able to find your words. So if I'm gonna get stuck in decision mode on how I want to do it, because I don't want to waste water, I don't want to fill a sink, those kinds of things, then I will just go ahead and try to be quick and not waste as much water as possible. The water I was running, you saw I put that pan in there. That was so that I could at least be filling that pan to soak with hot water with the water I was already running. So there's a lot of little things like that that if you just kind of keep an eye on can help. Okay, so I usually will do a dirty rag for the top clean to get all the gunk off, and then I do a clean rag to dry it off. So I keep always a bottle of water and rubbing alcohol, and it is 70% rubbing alcohol. Where's my other bottle? Ah, there it is. And then I also have a bottle of bleach water, which just has maybe a cap full in the bottle when I start, and that's for if I really feel like the sink needs like heavy disinfection. So I'm gonna put these in the Tupperware cupboard over here. And again, sometimes I put everything in its rightful place in here, and other times I just, depending on my needs for the day, I just toss things in kind of. Right now it's kind of already out of control, so I'm having trouble getting anything in because I must have just stuffed the last time I was in here. So let me just organize just a tiny bit, stack things properly, put lids on top, put containers on bottom. I did just organize this cupboard, so I won't be doing a video on organizing that, because I just went through it and got rid of all the extras and did a deep clean of this cupboard. So just real briefly, I'm just restacking things so they fit. And good enough. This needs to go to the recycle. Oh, my recycling can's full. So one of the issues we have with our dog is that he does not like us leaving the house, and he really doesn't like when we take out the garbage. So he barks and chases us, and then we have to worry about him not getting out and running away when we take the garbage out. So it's a real pain in the butt, and it's one of the things I dislike about the dog the very most. But he's just being him, so it is what it is. But where was I going with that? Oh, so when my recycling's full, I can't just go take it out. What's my point? So I'm going to use the rubbing alcohol, spray down the counter, and let that start soaking. Let's move a couple things over this way so we can get the whole as much of the counter as possible at once. Okay, now we start on this side of the counter. And we can get that scrubbed down. This can go over here for now. There's a lot of shuffling that goes on, especially if you're dealing with clutter. And the cat food container is up here. I do not like having my cat sit his kitty butt on my counter, but there is not a better solution at the moment. So for now, it is what it is. We're hoping to move him back downstairs, and then his food can be on the floor like a normal cat, and he doesn't have his little kitty butt on my counter. So I kind of move things around. I'm going to spray over here. and let that soak. So this has had a minute. What else can we do while that's soaking? Well, let's see. I have a glove over here. That can go there. This Google Home is no good. So I'm going to put it on the table with the electronic stuff that I don't know what to do with. I keep a bag on the table of cords that are not mine, that I don't know what they're used for. They're extras, they're whatever. Usually if it's a phone cord and it fits my phone, I check it beforehand to see if it's if it works. If it doesn't, then I just toss it. I have a bag of bags. I just got rid of one of these a week ago. I do over here have a crocheted bag holder that I made years ago, but it's currently full. Sometimes I run out of these, so I have a hard time. Like, I've emptied one of these and that before. Okay, I have bags in there. So I'm going to tie this one up and put it in the recycle can. I know I can take it to the store, but that's never going to happen. So I'm going to put it in the recycle bin, sort of, and that's good enough for now. Alright, so that counter should be pretty cleaned off. We're going to come back and wipe any other crumbs I find. I'm just going to sweep into the sink. Just give it a good old wipe down. And then when I've done that, I can kind of see where the stuck-on areas are. And I can come in with my scraper and scrape those up. Where'd that other one go? There it is. All right. Okay. Now this side is good enough. So we're going to wipe that down. And again, I'm not looking for perfection right now. I'm looking for basic maintenance. The deep cleaning, like I can see the kitty food dish needs to be washed. My spice shelf needs to be dusted, and probably the bottles need to be wiped down. But we're not doing that kind of cleaning right now. We're just getting my countertops clean and sanitized again. Shouldn't have put my scraper away. Okay. Now I'm going to go grab a clean rag so that I can go back over it with a clean rag. I don't have particular rags that I use, per se. I'm just going to give a light spray now. I just use whatever towels and stuff that I've kind of turned into rags over the years. So while that's doing that, I'm going to work on this corner. These scissors just never have a home. I think I'm going to put them in this drawer. Someday I also want to vacuum and wipe down the drawers. So that'll be part of the deep clean. There. Because this side of the counter also needs to be wiped down. So now I'm deciding what to do with stuff over here to declutter it. There's another electronic thing on the counter that's just sat unused. looks like a charging pad. But I don't ever see anybody using it, so it's going in the bag. This keeps popping off my dishwasher, so I'm going to put that in the junk drawer. This is an ice pack that I found in my husband's room, and it needs to be wiped down. So it's going to stay here for now with the Epsom salt. We got the dog collar charging. We do have a shock collar for the dog because sometimes he gets a little too full of himself and gets kind of an attitude. So we put the collar on, and all we ever have to do is beep it, and he gets the idea. We hardly ever have to actually zap him, because when he's really, really, really being bad, zapping him doesn't do diddly squat anyway because he doesn't care. So, it's really, sometimes we don't even put it on him. We just have it in the living room and beep it, and that's enough. He knows that that's the correction. So there's times we don't even put it on him at all and just use it as a beep. I'm going to spray the rag and just wipe this outlet switch, because it looks kind of dirty. So, alright, that's better. Now, oh, I gotta do this side. There. Good enough. Okay, so now I'm going to put this stuff back so that I can do my stovetop. And my corner cupboard, where the pots and pans originally were, the door is broken and breaking. It's ripping out of the wood. So I try not to open and close it a bunch because I don't have time to deal with it. I did buy the stuff to deal with it. I just haven't had the energy or the time to deal with it. So until then, I've just been stacking my pots and pans on the stove itself. I don't cook that often, and I usually, this is my favorite burner and this is my second favorite burner. Anything tall that I might have to stir does not work under that stove because the microwave's too low. So, which is fine. I wouldn't want my cupboards higher. I can barely reach as it is, but that's just one of those logistics things that I have to deal with. A, being short, and B, I didn't build this house. So I'm just finishing cleaning off this corner cupboard over here that you probably can't see over where the Epsom salt is. I'll move the camera a little bit. There we go. Just kind of dealing with that now. I'm going to put that stuff on the table. I've got the dog collar there. Oh, I threw away my dirty rag too early. Okay, so we're going to use a paper towel to get the base dirt off. I'm going to dry, oh, I missed a penny too. I'm going to dry wipe the dust onto the floor because I got to do the floor still anyway. Woo, yeah, that's bad. Wow. And then we're going to spray. And we're going to let that soak. And then I'll just use the inside of this paper towel to do the initial wipe down, and then I'll use the clean one. So we're going to set that right here for now. And I think I'm going to do a pre-scrub with a sponge and then go over it with the clean rag. And again, I'm using as much of the hot water I'm using. to fill the pots and pans that are already in the sink. So I'm just going to do a pre-scrub with the sponge. Oh, I see I need to scrape. Gross. Oh, it's cooking. And then for something like that, I'm just going to use the water that's already in that pan to wash off the scraper. This gives me a good idea of how bad the stove is or isn't, because sometimes it looks worse than it is. And sometimes it's worse than I thought. So just kind of finding all the stuck-on parts that might need a little bit more work. Ew, my sponge is gross. So it was definitely worse than I thought, because my sponge should not be dirty greasy when I'm done. These sponges are seen better days, but I'm using them up. I think I have new ones under the sink. I just haven't. I thoroughly use up my sponges before I throw them away. And even when they get to the point where they can't be in the kitchen anymore, they'll go to a bathroom for a toilet or a bathtub or something along those lines. I'm going to pull off my stove knobs so I can get underneath there. Now, I don't have any little kids at home, but I have the St. Bernard. And one day, when we first got him and he got a little bit bigger, I was sitting in the living room, and one of my phobias is fire. So I smell things when they get too hot. And I smelled heat in the kitchen. So I came in here, and when he was up here snuffling around the stove, he had turned on the back burner, one of these back burners, to high. So it didn't take me long before I went and got some child covers for the knobs. That way he can't accidentally do that again. A lot of times when I'm cleaning off this area of the stove, it's because he sets his chin here to look and sniff. And if you've ever been around a St. Bernard, they have giant, they have giant jowls, and their jowls collect slobber and hair.